talk. But I have a system. Basically, my system stays the same no matter where I go and what I do. If I'm accessing with a kayak or walking or on a bike, no matter what it is, my system's always pretty much the same. Every tree, my system's the same. You tweak smaller things, little things change as you go. And I kind of just, as I live my life, I just go off the whim. But I have my backpack. The biggest key is when I load my backpack, I always put everything in the same spot. So the rangefinder is always in the side pocket of my belt band. My release is usually, if it's dark, it's in my other hip pocket. If it's light out in the afternoon, I'll be carrying it in my hand. I shoot a thumb release, so I always have it on me. I always carry my bow if it's light out. If it's dark, sometimes I'll put it on my backpack, but usually I'm carrying it because I'm crawling through shit. So everything's so thick. If I had it on my back, it'd be catching on everything. But I'm gonna walk through the gear and basically to show, my system is, keep it simple, stupid. So I don't bring a ton of stuff in the woods, but I'm always prepared to be packing out a deer. So I always have my knife. I'm always prepared. I have water. So the basic stuff, but we'll run through it. So this is the pack that I've been using. It's a Badlands pack. I don't know what version it is, but I got it when I went elk hunting in Idaho a couple of years ago. And so I don't use so I'm always wearing my saddle in. Whether I put it on when I leave the shop, whether I'm in a kayak, driving the truck, no matter what I'm doing, I always wear it. I don't put it on in the woods. I don't use dump pouches because they always seem to be getting caught in stuff and shit's falling out of it. So my rope, I always wear pants with cargo pockets. That's why I like the tactical pants, because I'll take my rope. My rope always goes right in my pocket. Sometimes if I have it girth hitched, I'll just shove it in my pocket, or I'll just drape the rope around my neck when I'm walking in if it's not a long walk. So I always have, and I use one rope 90% of the time. My one rope is my lines in line and it's my tether. So I'll show you that when we get to the tree, how I clip and unclip. I've done some videos on it, using my bridge to stay attached to the tree, undo my lines in line, turning into my tether. There's my one rope. I have my bow hanger right here. So the rope goes in my pocket, releases in my hand, in my pocket, or if it's dark, in my pack.
Hey.
And then this is a bow hanger that I made just out of a gun clip. And I'll show you how that goes onto the step. Do this. Well, this will most likely go in my pocket too, or in a pocket I can reach in my pack, so that stays out. So my whole theory is when I get to the tree, I unload all my stuff so that when I go up, I never have to come back down. My bow stays on me. I attach it to my saddle. I'll show you that too, because I hate pulling my bow up, especially in the afternoon. So many times I've been halfway up the tree and I've had deer come in, so I have to stop right there. So I want my bow. I always want my bow on me. In the dark, it's not a big deal, but then in the dark, when you're pulling your bow up, you're smashing it against limbs, and I just feel more secure with it on my saddle or on my backpack. Front call goes right in the front. I got my hat. I just shove down here in the bottom just in case I need it. My sweatshirt goes in the bottom. That's the last thing I need. So my last layer always goes in the bottom. So when I hang my pack up after I'm done sweating, I put that on. Steps for a long walk, they're going right in the pack. If it's a short walk, I'll carry them around my shoulder, but most of the time they go in the pack. Water bottle, I always bring water. An extra rope just in case. Just in case I drop or lose my line or if I'm in a pinch, I always carry another rope. That's the beauty of 8mm. It's so small, it takes up no room. So I just pack that. Actually put it back here in the back because I most likely won't need that. So then I got my flashlight. Flashlight always goes in this pocket. So the whole reason for having that is everything in the same pocket is when I hang my pack up, I'm not searching for stuff and making noise and extra effort. I hang my pack and I always know when I need my light, it's right there. So headlamp, if it's dark, I'm wearing it in, but that goes right there. Rangefinder, always in the right side. And then knife, my knife always goes right up here. That's pretty much it. The only thing I forgot to put in here is garbage bags. I always carry, 4 or 5 contractor bags in case I'm packing a deer out. Because so many times when I'm hunting these spots, I don't have the ability to drag a deer. It's so thick. Like I'm crawling through tunnels and through nasty fuckers and shit. So most of the time I'm packing a deer out. That's why I love this pack too, because I can, I can fit a lot of meat in here. If I have to, I'll take the pack back, say the truck, the kayak. I'll dump all my gear except for the essentials I need, and then I'll just bring an empty pack with my knife and garbage bags. And the perch. So if it's a short walk, the perch. Say I'm going in. It's a short walk. I have the scepter on my shoulder. My pack's on my back. I'll take the perch and I'll shove it down in the side pocket right here. It'll come right through. So the perch will be right here on my hip, because that's going to be the last thing I do is snap the perch in. But a long walk, I'll just strap it, right to the outside of the pack. Again, my rope, my lines of line / tether go right in my pocket. A bow hanger I put in the other pocket. Got my release. I got the bow. So now we'll head over to the tree and I'll show you what I do when I get to the tree. How am I doing, Chris?
Great. Perfect.
Some pointers.
There's a deer in front of you.
Kill it.
All right, so I have it already set up here. I don't want to waste time setting it up, but I'll show you. So when I get to the tree, first thing I do, again, if it's a long walk, I have everything packed in the back, in the backpack. I take the pack off. I release. I don't step, throw it on my shoulder. I'll just actually do that. So the pack back on. And this is what I was talking about with the perch. I would just slip it right in there like that. Steps, and then go around my shoulder. Pull my ropes out, and then I'm ready to climb. So I'll put, a step or two on the tree, and I don't use many aider systems. I use our aider every once in a while, but what I do is I'll keep my lines of line super loose, and I'll put, say the first step I'll put, right at my waist. For the next step up here, grab that step, and I'll kind of just use the tree, put my foot against the tree and kind of jump up to that step. Not really jumping, but I call it like doing like a half pull-up. So that'll save, a step every couple feet. But most of the time I'm not trying to go screaming high. My presets, I'll go, 25 feet high. But when I'm mobily hunting, 15 feet is plenty, 12, 15 feet. And then as I'm climbing, putting the steps up, a lot of times I actually take my bow from the wrist strap. I always have a carabiner on the back of my saddle. I always have one on my hip. You're always going to need an extra carabiner to hang something. But as I'm climbing, I'm really just letting my bow hang like that. If it's thick and I'm going through limbs and stuff, I'll attach the bow to my bag. So jump off here. And then the reason for also having extra carabiners is I carry, like I said, one line. My line's line becomes my tether. So say I'm up here I already got my perch in, the steps are all up. So pretend I have a lines in line on. So again, the whole point is I'm not going back down to the ground. I'm going up the tree, going to kind of come back down is when I'm done hunting. All right, so got my lines going on. I always have a step. I like to have a step right here at my waist. Because what I'll do is this step becomes basically my bow hanger, my gear hanger, my backpack. Let's take a step. Attach right to the step. I'm attached to the tree. I'll detach my lines and lines. And that then becomes my feather. And then this step right here, this stays as my gear hanger. So I usually pull it over to this side of the tree, but before I snap that over, I take the bow hanger that I made and just snap it right on the tree. Step. My bag comes off, and again, always have carabiner on top. I can put my bag to the step. Take the bow off. Bow gets hung up, and again, that's why I love having my bow on me, opposed to having it on the ground, pulling up with a string. Because say I was halfway up and I had deer coming in, I'd be stuck with a bow on the ground. So if I had to, grab my bow right off my back, and it's right there. My quiver would go off. And bow up. And again, extra carabiner. I put a loop on my quiver. In my quiver, I kind of get it out of the way. And I'll put it on the back side of the tree. Hanging there. And a lot of times I'll get down. I just hate having stuff dangling and away. And then really I'm ready to hunt. So I'll open up my pockets. I'll take my rangefinder out. I put my rangefinder in there. I'll open it up. Put my last layer on. I have my water bottle locked down right in the step. It's nice thing about having this step right here. It's hold my bow, hold my backpack, hold my quiver. If you hold my water bottle. And that's about it for the setup.
All right, Drew, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to have you come back to Wi-Fi a little bit more. And then come back towards the house and do Q&A section.
Okay.
Do some Q&As. Tell how you just take that and talk yourself through this.
So then same thing. On the way down, descending will do the same thing. So everything goes back in the same exact pocket. The bow goes back on my saddle or attached to my backpack, and then everything comes down the same way it went up. So just trying to keep everything simple. And like like I said, every tree is different. Every spot you hunt's different. But every time I go to climb a tree, I'm doing the same exact way. You may have to monkey around with some limbs, or every situation is different. But I try to keep everything simple so that I know I'm not searching or trying to bumble around for stuff. So I always know exactly where everything is, and it's just slow as smooth as fast. So I'm not trying to scream up the tree and go super fast, but if everything's going smooth, you're going faster.
Awesome. Okay, so we have our first question. It's from Dave Collins. He wants to know, Drew, what part of the bow do you attach the carabiner to?
No, why don't you stay up?
You want to go in the office?
It's up to you.
Huh?
Drew, that's good.
What part? The Wi-Fi better?
Yeah.
What part of the bow? I made a wrist sling for my bow out of a stepladder rope, so that's where I attach it because I know it's secure. I don't want it. Yeah, you can grab it. I don't want it swinging around the camera or anything. So when I have it on the wrist sling, the bow stays a little bit higher, so it's not dangling as much.
Maybe go this way. Shade.
Great. Okay. Adam Howard wants to know, how do you plan for a saddle hunt in the rain?
How do you plan for a saddle hunt in the rain?
Yeah, anyone that knows me knows I love hunting in the rain. So my buddies, it's kind of a joke. If it's raining, whether it's pouring or just drizzling, they know I'm in the woods. So hunting, just waterproof gear. And really, it's like everyone's always worried about being comfortable. Is saddle hunting comfortable? This comfortable? It's hunting. So it's how comfortable do you really want to be? How comfortable do you have to be? That's why I love hunting in the rain. It's uncomfortable. It sucks, but nothing really changes except I'll throw a Gore-Tex jacket on. Scott's Broadside Camo I wore all season last season, and that stuff's super waterproof. I can remember walking through a marsh, having water up to my knees, and basically my socks were pretty dry. But yeah, nothing really changes.
Okay. John wants to know, what are the general opinions of the Kong versus Boatman 1 or 2 when connecting to either the tether or the lineman?
Say that again.
The difference between the Kong.
The Kong and versus the Ropeman 1 or 2.
The Kong can go down to, it's 8 to 13 millimeter rope. So the Ropeman 1 can only go down to 10 millimeter. So that's the beauty of the duck. It can go on the 8 millimeter Sterling O-Plus.
Okay. And somebody on a Galaxy S7 wants to know, what saddle are you currently using?
Right now I'm in the Yara.
Awesome.
Or subject.
Okay, and that's it for our questions. So guys, if you have questions for Drew, go ahead and type them in the Q&A or the chat. And
We all good, Lid?
yeah, Drew, why don't you take a second and talk about what you got going on in the store?
What she said?
Talk about what you got going on in the store.
Oh yes, we have. We're also doing a sale right now for anyone tuning into this video. It's store wide. It's 15% off. So the code is SS15. So that's for Saddle Summit 15. Just SS15, and that's 50% off everything in the store.
Okay, great. And Roger wants to know, what kind of knee pads do you have on?
These are actually built into these pants. So I wore through all my old Army pants, but these pants you can get on Amazon for like $40. And these knee pads are built in. But when I'm not, so this is like early season, sometimes I'd wear these, but most of the time I have, go on Amazon again, get the basketball knee pads. I can show you once I get in the shop. They're like sleeves that go over your legs and they have like foam pads on them. So I always run them under my pants. Because the problem with plastic knee pads is you put your knee against a tree and you kind of start slipping. So you can't get a good grip. So when your pads are under your pants, you get a better grip on the tree.
Awesome. And let's see, have you had success with the steps on cedars? John can't seem to get enough tension to keep the bark from stripping off and the steps sliding hard.
Yeah, cedar, yeah, we're going to do a video. I'm going to go around and climb every single tree I can find in the woods. But Yeah, any tree. So cedar has thinner bark, so you shouldn't have a problem caming it over. You just got to find equal contact on the standoffs to get equal pressure. So a lot of people just pull a step up and slam it over, but you want to pull that step up, pull it up, and get equal contact with each standoff, and then cam it over. So if you have more pressure on one side and not enough on the other side, it may be a little wobbly. So the whole key is just no matter, so thicker bark, say an oak, like I was just on, you're going to want to, cam it up, cam it over, and you might have to uncam it, take a little more tension out, pull it up as high as you can, and cam it over again. So it's all about finding that sweet spot. That sounds like I'm making it difficult, but once you practice a little bit, you get the hang of it.
Great. Everett wants to know if this will be saved, so you can get your Sunday commitments. And yes, we're recording right now, so hopefully we'll be able to post this at a later date. Randy hopes that at some point, Drew, you'll talk about maneuvering around the tree when you're hunting. Seems hard to keep his balance while moving around and takes some time to get set.
Okay, I can definitely do that.
Nathan wants to know, when hunting and it's really cold, do you pack your saddle and put heavy clothing on at the tree and then your saddle?
No, my legs never really get that cold, so I'm not usually worried about it. But if I'm going for a long walk, yes, I'll pretty much always wear my saddle in no matter what, and I might take it off and put my bibs on. So I always bring more clothing than I know I'll need. So I'll bring my bibs if it's cold, and I may not use them, but 90% of the time I'm wearing my saddle in. So with the bibs, I'll just unzip the side legs so I get air flowing in there, and I'll walk in. But I always wear the saddle in.
Great. Chris West wants to know any plans for a hard step holder for the Wild Edge step, like a holster.
Oh yeah, we've been messing around with a couple of Kydex holsters and everything, but yeah, that's something we're working on. But we're actually working right now. Before that, we're working on basically a run and gun deluxe carry bag. So our carry bag that is basically a mini backpack. So I got Corey, approached that Corey, and I have to work on that right now.
All right, so some more questions. Michael wants to know, Drew, do you recommend using a 2-rope system for a beginner, or is your method of tethering to a step okay for a beginner?
Yeah, no, 100%. Start with 2 ropes. That's what I say. Spend the money, get everything. The beauty about saddle hunting is, say you buy a whole kit, you buy 2 ropes, you can sell anything on the classified ads in a couple hours. But it's always nice to have 2 ropes. So that's the safest way to do it. The way I'm doing it is just simplifies it. But yes, I recommend always run 2 ropes when you're beginning.
Okay, and do you prefer a step-only climbing method, or do you like using sides to keep some weight down? Sides. Sticks?
Sticks, maybe.
Maybe Josh wants to know if you prefer steps only, or if you prefer using some sticks to keep weight down. I believe that's what he said. Josh, if you want to.
Yeah, I just use steps because they're so compact and they're right there on my hip. And that kind of relates back to the holster idea. The holster is great, but the beauty about having a bag, when I'm done and there's no more steps in the bag, I just take that bag and I roll it up and then shove it right in my backpack. So it's done.
Holster noise.
Yeah, the holster's, it's a little noisy, but yeah, I only use steps.
Okay. And we'll take one more question. So Mike Bruns wants to know, how often should the ropes be changed and how tough are they to change?
Bless you.
What was that?
How often should the ropes be changed?
That all depends on how much you're using them. If you're mobily hunting all season long, you might change your ropes before the next season. You can buy replacement ropes right on our site, but I have steps that I've left in the woods for, every year. I'll leave them in the woods all season long, take them down, put them back up, and say they stay in the same tree for my presets, or I move them around to a couple trees. Those ropes last for a lifetime. I've had the same ropes since I was 14 hunting with Jim.
We always suggest to check.
Oh yeah, we suggest changing them. If they look frayed and they're getting beat up, definitely change them because that's your lifeline. So if the ropes are cheap, just change them. They're super easy to splice back on. They come with instructions.
Great. So we're just at 11:30 now. So that kind of concludes the end of Drew's segment. Drew, do you want to take a second to introduce Matt?
Yep. So we got Matt from Out on a Limb Manufacturing. And so I met Matt a couple of years ago. Was it 2 years ago at the Iowa Deer Classic? And before the show, he actually sent me a social media message and said, or, you know, check this out. So I met him. I actually met him years before at the Harrisburg show, and just very short. And he bought a couple steps from me. And I've been messing around trying to make a platform that attaches to the step. And I was beating my brains. I had dozens of prototypes I was working on, and I just couldn't really get it. Matt, he's a extremely good fabricator, welder. The dude's talented. He sent me a picture of the perch. So that was the birth of the perch, and that's how Matt and I met. And he calls me little brother. I call him big brother. You know, he's one of my best friends in the whole world. Matt and I work together a ton. He actually helped me work on our new platform we're coming out with. So Matt's he's just a genius when it comes to the metal world and everything else mechanical. So Matt's going to talk about, he's going to run you through his shop and basically show you how he makes stuff, how he builds all his stick platforms and everything. That's metal is pretty complicated, so not many people know a lot about it. So Matt's a wealth of information. He'll run you through, you know, how everything's made, everything from machining to powder coating to welding, everything. So I'll hand it over to Matt. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Thank you, little brother. Guys, I'm Matt Garis. I own Out on a Limb Manufacturing. We're based in Enid, Oklahoma. Can you hear me all right, Lydia? I just want to make sure before we get going.
Good to go.
All right, thank you. We do our manufacturing a little bit different. I started out building tree stands in the early 80s. It's mainly for myself. Then I went into a company I called Trailer Tower, which was an ATV trailer that by yourself you could set up into an enclosed tower blind. Fully contained, self-contained, had power, lights, office chairs mounted to the walls. So when you got to your hunting location, you unloaded the four-wheeler, took it to the front of the trailer, drug it. I always drug mine to the four corners of the section so I could get a good view everywhere. We're Oklahoma, it's really flat here. Within 15 minutes from unloading the four-wheeler, I could be in a tower blind at my chosen choice. That was a very expensive unit, and back 15 years ago, I'd say it's 15 years ahead of its time. People wouldn't give $5,000 for a blind. Today they still wouldn't either, but for what it was well worth the money. Nowadays, a blind costs you half as much as what I'm charging. The trailer costs the other half. So nowadays it'd be a workout thing. We may bring that back. In fact, I got a frame of one right over there against the wall. I don't know if you can see it over there or not, but it's this particular one I was going to make a smaller unit. It was going to be 8 foot to the floor. Where the original ones were 10 foot. We've made them as high as 20 foot to the floor. We custom build everything that we do. All our products start from raw materials. It's like say the Ridge Runner, for instance, starts with the 1-inch aluminum strap. We send it to a machine shop and have it notched for our tread. Each piece is cut to length and notched, and we get that stuff in bulk. Our hinges are even completely built. This is a piece of 3/8 plate, 2-inch angle iron, 1/4-inch thick. I got a jig made. This is just tacked together right now, but we'll tack them all together in a jig. Then we'll go to the side and we'll weld everything that way. Same with our camera brackets. Everything starts from raw material. The ball starts from a piece of 2 1/8 inch stock, turned into a ball. We then weld the adapter on, put a bushing in it. The plates are milled out of 3/8 thick by 6-inch strap. Put our bevel in them for the ball. The plates all out of aluminum channel iron. They go to the machine shop, get all the teeth. I used to hand cut all these teeth and put all my own bevels and everything. But you guys have been so gracious to our company. We've had to outsource our machining. I've got some people got all my butt down. I recently hired a welder, one of our ambassadors, Taylor Jones. It's taking a big load off me because, you know, I know we're about 4 weeks behind on ridge runners right now. We should close that gap next week to 2, which will make a lot of y'all happy, I know. We've been catching a little static about our speed, but we've been growing so much. It's just unbelievable, and it's all to the saddle community too. We also build tree stands, ladder stands. I've got patents on a couple of stands. I'm in Oklahoma, so if you all know Oklahoma, if you know Oklahoma, it's all crooked trees. I mean, I don't have a straight tree unless it's a cedar and it's 100 yards from where I need to be. So we patented a few of our products. I think I've got 5 total. We built camera arms here. We've got 5 or 6 different camera arms. In fact, had a deal on social media yesterday. People asking about camera arms geared for the saddle industry, which our Reach camera arm that I designed with Carabiner, the modern assassin. It was designed for saddle hunting. It also works for tree stand hunting. It's just not quite long enough for that, but it'll work. Like I say, it's really geared for saddle hunting. We're working on a new arm right now. Not going to give any details of it, but it's a model of one of our older arms. It'll have absolutely no bounce. I deal with a lot of videographers in the professional outdoor industry, and my arms are made for that, really. Until we got into the Reach and things like that, we're trying to kind of cater to the saddle hunters, but still, we're gaining a lot of saddle hunters that do filming, that do TV. So you don't want a lot of movement in your footage. You don't want to have to use 2 hands to hold your camera on. We've got one camera arm called a 0360, and it's a 0 gravity 360-degree view. We've got some professional videographers using that. It's in the same price range as others. But that's what we do is custom build. And if any of you got DIY guys ever have a question, you know, I have nothing against people building their own stuff. I mean, that's all I did for most of my life until we got into commercial building. But I'm always here for questions. If you want to know something, we're going to go through a little bit of powder coating. Most of your hunting products nowadays are built out of aluminum, and aluminum, as you know, does not hold the coating very well. If you spray paint your stuff within a week, you bounce against the tree, the coating's coming off. The main thing is prep. I don't know if you can see that, but see the little shiny spots? We sandblast every part that we coat here in our shop. I have a little bit of coating farmed out on the big stuff, but for the most part, we coat a little bit of everything here. I've got solo scouts in the oven right now, heating up. We use an anti-skid powder coating that we've had a lot of good compliments about our coating. I've been coating other people's parts, squirrel steps. I've coated a couple Predator platforms. I coated a Lone Wolf ambush platform. In fact, we just put out on social media, I had a customer send me an ambush platform. They didn't like the post situation. I don't know if they make noise, what the deal is. I don't want to go into that. But he just asked me to put our cam system on it. So we just kicked that out, hoping to hear something back from him. I put it on my tree in here to test it a little bit. But I don't want to be the one that says it's good to go. I want the customer to give me his opinion on it. So hopefully within a week or so, we'll get some feedback on that. I know I've had a lot of guys question it, how it worked. To me, it works great, but I want to hear it from the customer himself. Like all our products, you know, our products pretty much speak for themselves. We spend a lot of time, pretty much 7 days a week here in the shop, manufacturing product, get it out. We try to stay on a 2-week turnaround. Like I say, we're stretched out a little bit on that. But let me turn the camera around here. I got the oven turned to 400 degrees. That's where most powder coats use a 400-degree temperature. Powder coating can be done at the house in the oven. I'll show you a few tips to make it work a little better. for the DIY guys. But we'll turn around here and pull this stuff out of the oven. First thing we're going to do, we use a prismatic brand powder. This particular powder, same company makes Cerakote, but when you get your powder, it's like flour, and it's usually compressed in a box. So you always want to take what's called fluff your powder, kind of basically turn it into a liquid stage. I don't know if you can see that, but it's basically just like water in the bag now. I've got a commercial gun. They make a lot of inexpensive guns. Eastwood makes a gun. There's several different powder coating methods out there. So any DIY guy can do it. You want to be sure to fluff your powder first. Pull this rack out. So it is 400 degrees, so you always want to make sure you wear your little mittens. They ain't getting burned. Powder coating is electrostatic discharge. So you want to ground your material. It's going to come out in a powder form. Pretty much wraps around everywhere it goes because it's static. I like to coat things twice. I'll give it where I think it's pretty well coated the first time. I'll put it back in there for 2 minutes. You can see right here in the corner, your electrostatic discharge, it pushes it away in the corner. If you guys can see that, yeah, right there. I'll move them here in a minute, but it's going to cover all that area as well. Or if you use the move fairly slow, I know I get tired sometimes. Get in that corner, you slide it over. And you can grab that corner. Try to get them all in one coat the first time. I'll pull them out and double check it.
Hey, Matt, we're having a little bit of a tough time hearing you.
Okay.
There you are. All right.
I'll try to talk up a little bit. The main thing is to fluff your powder first. I always preheat my product. It's not a recommended thing, but just it makes your process go a little quicker. But we put a good coat of powder coat on, and we'll put it back in the oven for 10 minutes. Let me get this coated, and we'll be right back.
So while Matt's finishing up his coding, you guys have questions for him, make sure you send them through the Q&A box, and when he comes back, we'll be able to ask some of your questions.
And I'll give a little bit of recap since they said it was kind of hard to hear. First thing, I preheat my parts a little bit, about 400 degrees, what we keep our oven on. Fluff your powder. Make sure it's in a kind of a liquid state. It's dry, but kind of like flour. When you fluff it, it gets to a liquid state. Ground your material. You can buy powder coating guns at Eastwood Manufacturing. Several other companies make a powder coat gun. So the DIY guys, you can do that at your own house in an oven. It's an electrostatically charged system. It attracts the powder to the metal. Takes about, we'll let that set about 10 minutes. We'll pull it out, double check for any light spots. If we have a light spot, we'll add a little powder, rebake it. We'll hope these are good. We'll pull them out and let them cool. So at the end of the video, I can show you the texture that we use. An anti-skid powder from Prismatic Powders. You can get online and order it yourself. You can buy it by the pound. It's rather cheap, under $15 a pound. When you start using 50 pounds at a time, it gets expensive. But again, that's an anti-skid powder coat. We're turning around here and look at some sticks now. The biggest thing on powder coating is that you get a good profile on your metal. I sandblast everything. You can take it to the local machine shop and have it bead blasted. Again, all of our materials start at raw stock. Just like, say, all these knobs. They're made out of a 1-inch round bar, taken to machine shop, turned into a threaded cap. Even the top hat bushings, they're made out of 1-inch bar stock. We will sell this stuff separately if some of you DIY guys want to build your own stuff. I don't know the prices right offhand, but it's fairly reasonable. Basically gets up, I know a lot of you guys have built some Dano sticks, basically the same prices as that when you go to buy the stuff individual. Makes it a little bit higher than what we do. We run sales on occasion to try to get our sticks down in the price. It's just expensive when you manufacture in a small scale like we do. We try to put out about 100 sticks a week. We'll put out 50 ridge runners next week. Even the knobs, your adjusted knob, made out of 1.5 inch solid stock aluminum. It's all machined. Then we sandblast it, powder coat it. This is a little rack I made. These have been sandblasted already. They're ready to go to powder coat next. Standoffs, same way, made out of solid stock. If any of you guys know any machine shops, your programming is what gets really expensive, but you can design your own stick. That's how I got into it, how I started. A buddy at a machine shop, and he does all my machining. I draw it up by hand first. He puts it on computer and makes the magic happen. Don't know how we are on time, but I'm ready for Q&A unless if you guys want me to show you anything. This is a Baird podium, just finished welding. It's a podium bracket, it's already been powder coated. Bridge runner bracket starts with channel iron. We weld an extra support in, drill it, tap it for the adjuster button. Where the dogs are welded on, these are recessed by machine, where we press the dogs in and then weld them around to make them a little stronger. We also cut all of our own strapping, and we take it to a shop to have it sewn. So all of our pull straps, ratchet straps, our mini 5/8, all that is cut here. I did a DIY strap cutter, and all that is basically a battery with some stainless steel wire and a manual starter button for the old cars. I don't know if you can see around my shop a little bit, but I mean, we're rough.
I'll jump you into Q&A if you're ready for that.
I'm ready.
All right, so first we have from Dave Collins, what's the weight and overall footprint size on the Ridge Runner?
Footprint size on the Ridge Runner is 16 wide. We're a total of 10 inches away from the tree with the bracket. The platform's actually 8 inches, where the podium's 9 inches, 16 inches wide. inch thick.
Do you know the weight on that offhand?
The Ridge Runner is 3.5 pounds.
Awesome. All right. Ian wants to know, do you hard anodize any of your aluminum products?
No, everything's powder coated. I don't have an anodizing process. To me, it leaves a little too glossy anyway.
Let's see. Chris wants to know, are those straight and angled versions of the Solo platform? Are straight angle platforms available too, or will they be?
Like I said, we custom do a lot of stuff. I have set out some straight Solos mainly for guys that got the JX3s. I've experimented with putting the Solo on flat and with an angle outside of that. There's just not enough room. We're too close to the tree, in my opinion, for the flat to work being that small.
Cameron wants to know,
That's the Solo.
to have something coded, should we just call and discuss the details?
To have something coded, basically my phone number's on our website. It's on our Facebook page. It's 580-541-3794. That's my personal cell phone number. That's my business number. Just call us. Tell us what you want. We'll have you mail it to us, ship it to us. I ask that everyone take their own product apart, so I'm not liable for the assembly of it. And we'll coat your products and send them back to you. Like I say, we've done Predators, we've done Squirrel Steps, we've done some Lone Wolf platforms. It really doesn't matter to me what we coat. It's just, and we try to do it inexpensively. Coating the platforms usually like $25. Squirrel Steps $5 a piece.
Great. Okay, so Charles ordered a Shearer Mini last week and was planning to paint it when he gets it. Any recommendations that go well with the out on a limb coating?
One more time.
Charles ordered a Shearer Mini last week and he's going to paint it when he gets it. Any recommendations on paints that go well with your coating?
Being powder coated, just scuff it up with Scotch-Brite and it should accept any paint. Because once it's already on the aluminum and we put it on there correctly, then you have a lot less likely chance of your coating coming off. So you can paint right over it.
Okay, Mike wants to know, do you have plans for a bigger platform like the Lone Wolf?
We have shown a couple. I've got a couple out being tested. We've got it both in the podium style and the Ridge Runner style. We're still working on that. Hopefully within another month we can have a larger platform out.
Awesome. So Matt, are you running a sale today or anything to announce on the store? And guys,
well, actually we'll probably run one tomorrow. I wasn't really prepared to do it today because I'm not smart enough to run the computer personally and no one showed up. So we'll try to run a sale during our Facebook Live Q&A tomorrow. We'll do a 4-hour sale like we did that last time. Probably do a 15% off.
Great. So guys, if you have any more questions for Matt, go ahead, type them in the chat right now. It's got a couple more minutes. So Matt, if you want to go for it. Looks like Dave wants to know, if something's already been powder coated in a single color, does it have to be either sandblasted to be coated with a camo pattern?
I can't powder coat camo, but if it's been powder coated, you should be able to camo right over the top of it. I would Scotch-Brite it with a red Scotch-Brite first just to give it a little profile.
Awesome. All right. Anything else, Matt, that you want to
I think I'm good. Like these next guys are itching and ready to get on live.
Great. All right. So, Drew, you want to join us again?
Come on, little brother.
I'm here.
All right. So, Drew, why don't you take a second to introduce Jeff? And thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, guys. Hope you learned something from Matt. We got next up, we have Jeff Truck. He's a fun bastard. He's how did I meet Jeff? I met Jeff through we traded apparel. I sent him some apparel and he sent me some of his apparel. And I've been wearing the stuff ever since, and we got pretty close. He came to help me at Harrisburg by the shop, him and Jason. That's how I met Jason, was through Jeff for timber tumblers. And yeah, we've been buddies ever since. Jeff, pro staff for yeah, he's an all-around good dude. So he's got a couple tips he's going to do on transitioning from your climbing system to a platform. So Jeff, take it over, buddy.
All right, man. Thanks, Drew. Yeah,
dude.
so I've been saddle hunting for a few years. And when I started saddle hunting, there wasn't a lot of commercial products out there, so to speak. So we were making our own platforms with the XOP seats. I've been in the trophy line since day one. And I always wanted to represent some trophy line merch, so I decided to make my own since they were out of business. That's how I started making T-shirts. I made a couple of trophy line T-shirts for some buddies and I, and then it turned into HangTime. Some T-shirts, some hats, some hoodies, just basically just for saddle hunters, you know. I make a lot of decals too. It's true. Yeah, I make a lot of truck decals now for people. I make the state shirts. It's all available on doublesteps.com. Unless you want a decal, then just message me. I'll do that on the side. But through the saddle hunting community, I met Jason. Actually, I should have known Jason because I'm a teacher where Jason went to school. And I didn't have Jason in my class, but he knew of me. So he messaged me and said, I want to check out the saddle. So he came by and let him borrow a saddle for a whole season, I think, right? And then he said to me, I want to start making these cups. Would you mind if I use your logo and give you a cup? So basically, his company's taken off. It's turned into pretty large, right? And it's mostly outdoor industry stuff. I think Drew said I pro staff for Trophy Line, so that's why I got that in the back. But I'm here today to talk about tree stand safety or saddle hunting safety. It's only a matter of time as the community begins to grow, and it's growing pretty rapidly. And it's only a matter of time before accidents start happening. And I think statistically, the number one what opportunity to get hurt in the hunting world is a transition from your sticks or your steps to your platform or your tree stand. I think that's where most people get hurt. And I've been watching a lot of videos lately online on YouTube of people showing their climb, showing their system, and it's all awesome. And then I watch them get to the very top of their climb, and then they just step up onto the platform without being tethered in. And I think that's super risky. Most accidents happen either climbing onto your platform or tree stand or climbing back down onto your climbing method. So I just think that we should tether in first, then step up, load your tether, adjust it to your height, whatever, load it, and then take your lineman's belt off. Because if you are going to slip and fall or you have a failure of your platform fails, you don't want it to be dropping with your lineman's belt. You'd rather be caught with your tether. I've fallen a couple feet in my lineman's belt, and it's not fun. It hurts. And I know we all think we're 18, but we're just not anymore. And I know it takes me a long time to heal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk over to the tree. Jason's going to take the phone and introduce himself. And I'm just going to do a quick little climb to show you what I think we should all be doing to avoid that first major saddle hunting injury. Don't be that guy. Here you go.
All right. Thanks, Jeff. Hey, guys. Jason Ketchum here, Timber Tumblers. Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to talk here. Like Jeff mentioned, I've been saddle hunting here for a year and a season. You know, thankfully, I borrowed a saddle, and it's been awesome. I hunted my entire season out of that saddle this last year, and it's been cool. But anyways, I wanted to briefly talk about the opportunity that I found. You know, really here, it's been a lot of community based, and I've been really thankful to find the community here through the social media platforms and through all the different communications here. You know, meeting Drew and Lydia with the Wild Edge crew this past year has been really great. You know, I had the opportunity to work with Drew. We put together a bunch of cups, right? Some Wild Edge, hand painted, wood grain cups. But that's been really great. So the biggest thing here is if you have any questions or anything on saddle hunting, don't be afraid to reach out through all the social media platforms. The community is there for our use and to make it easier for us all. So it can be very helpful using social media. Obviously, a lot of people use the opportunity to be hurtful or be quite negative, and jump on that opportunity to bring down bring down those of us around us. But you know, that's the biggest thing that we're, you know, here to encourage the positivity, I'll call it, and reach out with any questions that you have as we all begin to or continue to learn. But anyways, I'm going to turn the camera around. Jeff's set up on the tree, and we're going to get through some demonstration. All right, Jeff. Yeah, we're good.
Good.
All right.
I have a little setup here. I have a Shearer stick, 17-incher. I do have a solo scout. I just got it maybe 2 weeks ago. I don't have much time on it, but I figured I'd put it in the tree. I have a perch here. So one thing also about the transitions I didn't mention before is that many of us want to get an extra 18 inches or 15 inches out of our climb with this step up, which again makes it that much more risky and more important that you do feather work. I think the scout, when I run the scout.
Hey Jeff, 1 second, if I can just interrupt.
Yep.
Jeff, if you can just step a little bit closer, so we can hear Jeff a little bit better.
Oh, sure.
Great, thank you.
So I start over with my little. We're good.
Now you're good. Go ahead.
Okay. So with the solo scout, the way I'm going to run it is I'm going to basically put it at the top of the step height anyway. I'm not going to be stepping up onto this. I'll be stepping over onto it because it is a pretty steep angle. I don't think I want to climb up on it, but I do think it's awesome. This is what, 15-inch step here, nothing crazy. I just wanted to show how we're going to do this. So we're going to obviously lineman's belt up. I do use a ropeman on my tether and my lineman's belt. That was been talked about. I like it. So go. This is the position I'm talking about. We get to the top for a climb. A lot of times you step up onto the platform, and if something goes wrong, this lineman belt is not made to really stop you from falling. It will stop you. I've fallen a couple times, and it does catch you, but it's not comfortable. So this is the position where I think we should take the time. This has to happen in the next minute or so anyway, so why not do it now? Run your tether. All right. Like I said, we have to do this anyway, shortly, so why not do it now and double our level of safety? I'm gonna pull this tight because if I do fall, all that's gonna happen is I'm gonna be caught on my tether and I can't drop anywhere. So I'm gonna leave my lineman belt on, I'm gonna step up. Now I'm gonna adjust my tether because it is a little low. I wanna load it. Always load your tether before you release your lineman's belt. I'm still attached, I'm loosening it so I can make sure I'm in. Now I feel like I can definitely take this off, put it away, and start hunting. Hang my bow, hang my backpack. You watch you do all that, so I'm not gonna do that too, but here we are. It was a safe transition. If something did go wrong, if my stick kicked out, or if the perch, I didn't have this tight enough, I don't think I'm going anywhere. You know, I might slam against a tree, I might go sideways, but I'm not going down. That's the big thing. Like I said, I think I'm 18, but I'm 44. And I fell last spring using a 3-step aider, just messing around on my climbing tree. You can see it's pretty abused. But I just going up 1 step, and I didn't have my saddle on, and I just fell. It hurt. So anyway, now going down, same thing. There's no reason to just use your lineman's belt. So I'm going to reconnect my lineman's belt. Tighten this up a little bit. What I'm going to do here, though, this is now attached. I'm going to lower this a little bit so that I can still use it as I go down. Just in case something fails, this will catch me. Step on down. Once I'm on my stick, I can tighten this up. Now I can deal with my tether and be done with it. Lock the carabiner. But again, we all like to hunt. We enjoy it. Most of us have families and kids, and we want to go home to them. And even though a guy last year, getting out of his stand onto his ladder, with a couple bones, it's no fun. You know, you seem to have confidence in our abilities, but something goes wrong. It's dark, you can't see. A lot of things can go wrong, even for you guys hurt. So just be safe. Don't be that first saddle hunting casualty. Not the kind of history that you want to make, all right? That's it. All I got, really.
Perfect. And anyways, we wanted, since our businesses quite differ from the other three of our colleagues here, in this summit, I think, we really rely on social media as our main platform for advertising. We're not looking to promote. They're both side businesses for both of us. I'm an electrical engineer full time, and Jeff's the teacher. They're side businesses, and we really appreciate all the support that we found through the outdoor industry here. And it's been really cool to find, and the networking that we found through these communities. So again, we really appreciate it. You can find me, Timbered Tumblers, on Instagram, Facebook. Jeff, HangTime 10940, right?
I recently changed it to HangTime Apparel on Instagram and Facebook.
Cool.
But you can buy shirts, hats, and hoodies at Double Steps. And I'm not set up for a discount either. I wasn't, I'm like Matt. I don't do the computer part of it, so my bad.
If you reach out to me personally, mention the Saddle Summit, I'll give you free shipping on any orders. So reach out, Timbered Tumblers, on Instagram or Facebook, and we'll get you set up. But anyways, Lydia, I think that's all for our conversation. If there's any questions that anybody has for us, we're here and available.
All right, so let's jump into questions then. And before we do that, also, we have HangTime t-shirts on the Wild Edge website. Go ahead and use our discount to grab 15% off those HangTime t-shirts as well.
Gotcha.
So here we go. For a question we have, do you recommend putting your platform offset from your main line direction of climb while going up the tree?
100%, I do, yeah. I always think about where I want to be on the tree, and I attach my sticks or my steps off to the side. So when I climb up, I'm not stepping over it. I can step sideways onto it. I don't like having that in front of me when I'm trying to make that last step up. So yeah, I always put it offset just like I do, like I have it here. Yeah. If I want to hunt this side of the tree, I'm going to climb this side of the tree. I'm going to step up sideways onto it. Yeah, every time. When I first started messing around, I wasn't doing that, and it was a struggle to step up and around this. It's much easier to just step onto it. Good question.
All right, so we have a gentleman coming from the rock climbing world and using his rock climbing belt for saddle hunting. What he's wondering is the advantage, disadvantage of using a saddle with a bridge versus hooking the tether directly to the loop of the rock climbing harness?
I've never been in a rock climbing harness, but I would think that this is meant for staying still for a long period of time. And you might find more comfort in the saddle than you do with rock climbing harness. I don't know though.
I think it gives the ability to turn with the bridge.
That's true too, yep.
And that's what you don't see in the rock climbing harness because you're attached to that center point.
Once you're tethered in, you can twist, and it'll twist with you. The bridge will slide through your carabiner.
I think Drew mentioned that he was going to do another presentation on mobility and shooting while suspended in a saddle. So I think that would be the recommendation is tune into Drew's follow-up video.
Great. So we'll have that video on YouTube for you guys. Seems like an important topic to cover is mobility while we're up in our saddles. What does this say? Do the tumblers, can the tumblers be personalized for a state also?
Absolutely. Yeah. Reach out. I could do anything. Absolutely.
All right. So you heard it. Find them on social, reach out, get your tumblers. I had my coffee in mine this morning.
I think we all have them today.
Yeah.
Find every day holster, which I think is pretty cool. Which I used to make fun of people who use holsters, but the beer is always cold.
Yeah, keeps
my theory was always if you drink that slow and need a Colster, we're not friends. But I'm a changed man. The Colsters, I'm a converted Colster user.
I got a lot of different options. I'm playing with different stuff all the time. Dog bowls, yeah, I got a dog bowl that I did just recently. So for sure, reach out.
Very cool. Okay, Tom wants to know. He says, I like to have my stick set higher than my Predator, so I can step down rather than up to the platform. This requires me to lineman over the platform. Any recommendations for making this easier, as it is often quite awkward and uneasy at times?
Yeah, what I do is I would have the Predator folded up, bring my belt above it, and then cam it down. And it may be, your lineman belt might be a little bit larger for that. And then when you step up, just quickly tighten it again. But it's a real pain in the butt. It's absolutely a problem that we all deal with. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. I always had it cammed up and went above it with my lineman's belt, and then cammed it down, and then continued my climb and just tightened up as I needed to.
John says, thanks for your positivity and commitment to the industry and fellow hunters.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
Do what you love, right?
Absolutely. And Scott says, tether in first, then drop down to set the Predator. That's what you.
And then back. Do that.
So, guys, keep them coming with the questions. Any more questions? It looks like we have a couple left over for Drew, but if you guys want to hit up Jeff, keep them coming.
This is a pretty cool experience, Drew. Thanks for putting together, Lydia and Drew, and inviting us to participate. It was pretty neat. Definitely do it again.
For sure, definitely.
Thank you guys so much for coming on. It's really great to get a couple different perspectives and really try to grow the saddle hunting community. So like you guys touched on, it's definitely a unique niche of the hunter community, and it's been a wild ride. So thank you guys for joining.
But still relatively small compared to the amount of hunters in the world. So I think we're still a small niche community.
Definitely.
Definitely keep it coming.
Hey, Drew, while I have you here, just want to clean up some of these questions, make sure everyone's questions get answered. So Miles wanted to know, have you used the Nader Swader method to climb, and what do you think?
I have, and like I said, I'm not a big fan of aiders, but the Nader Swader, it does work. Jay, I think it's Jay Klein, he sent me a set, and I have used it, but I would rather carry more steps and go slower, carry a little bit more weight, because like I say, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. I just find myself, it's easier for me to put up more steps, take my time, and have more steps than trying to space them out, 20 feet. It's easy. Any aider system, it's easy to go up. The problem is coming down. That's the hard part. But it is a great system. Guys love it. And they can get screaming high, 25, 30 feet with 5 steps, 4 steps. But yeah, I'd rather carry more steps. So I'll carry, if I'm going to be at 12 feet, 15 feet, I'll carry 5. But most 90% of the time, I'm carrying 8 or 10 steps.
Great. So Kevin wants to know, Drew, do you find a big advantage with the wings of the perch? And if he wanted to do it to himself, do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely helps. The wings help for a little bit more stability for bigger guys who are putting a lot of side pressure on the step. But, the original perch, it works just as good. I mean, we ran it for 2 years now, and, I never, ever had a problem with side pressure. But we did the wings just for a little extra security for bigger guys. But if you're going to have someone do it, I definitely recommend bringing it to an experienced welder. And it's 6061 aluminum that you're going to want to weld onto it. And we can send you pictures if you want of the tabs or dimensions, or Matt could do it too. If you want to send it in to Matt.
Awesome.
He'll do it for $1.
Matt, you hearing this guy? He's throwing shade. All right, so Dave wants to know, does girth hitching the sewn loop on the Oplux take away from any of the strength?
Nope, not at all. So that's the beauty of the sewn eye, girth hitch it. That's what I do every time to my lines and loop. You can also use it as a bridge. If you wanted to replace your bridge, you could use the 8mm rope with the T-back, 6mm sewn eye.
Awesome. And Randy wants you to speak on getting past branches while climbing.
Same method I use when I'm detaching my lines and line to my tether. I'll just hook a carabiner right to a step and then detach. But I recommend just run 2 lines. So if you have your lines and line on, so just use your tether, which is in your pouch or in your pocket, whatever. Take that out, go around the tree. So the whole method is always stay attached to the tree. That's how, you know, you're going to fall when you're transitioning, when you're detaching. So always stay attached to some method. Or a lot of guys will actually keep, you know, they'll have 2 lines on. So they'll have 2 lines girth hitched to their lines and loops. So when you get to a branch, so your lines and lines around the tree, when you get to the branch, you're just going to take out your other rope that's in your dump pouch, attach it, detach, same thing.
Josh wants to know, if using a platform, do you recommend a squirrel step or something similar on the sides to aid in moving around the tree?
Yeah, what I do is I'll have the perch in the center, and then I'll have 2 steps on each side, or the steps. A lot of guys use the squirrel steps. Problem is there's not much stability. So the reason I use the steps or other platforms is, with the steps, I can stick my toe in the step. I can stick my heel in the step, so I'm locked in like a stirrup. So no matter what platform you're using, I recommend, not just because of my product, I recommend putting a step on each side of the tree, or just 1 step so you can stick your toe in, because you're locked into the tree. You're not slipping.
Okay, great. So someone using a Galaxy S7 wants to know if you have a new saddle in the works.
We do.
Stay tuned. Randy wants to know, oh, nope, we just talked about Randy. Stephen wants to know, do you recommend using the cane method to avoid limbs?
The cane method. What's you referring to?
Stephen, is the cane method when you have your tether, you
keep moving it up.
and you move it up the tree, right?
Yeah, so same thing. When you get to a limb, you just have to make sure your lines and line is attached, and detach it, reattach it. I think that's what he's talking about.
All right, so Chris says, does the use of the perch warp the shape of the step over time? Also, does attaching or detaching the perch wear off the coating on the wild edge step after a while?
So the beauty about the perch, and especially the wings too, the biggest advantage of the wings and the original perch is, say your standoffs are bent just a little bit. When you put the perch into the step and you cam it over, lock it in, it's going to bring the standoffs back to where they should be. So it's always going to bring them back. It's malleable metal. It's 16 gauge metal. So it's made to bend. So it'll bend back once you slam the perch in. The coating, yeah, I mean, it's powder coat on metal. You know, eventually it's gonna rub and wear a little bit, but it's really not a big deal. A lot of guys tape their steps or platforms, or, you know, I don't worry about it. You know, any painted surface of any material is going to wear off.
All right, and what's the ETA for the new shop opening from Dave?
I have no idea. Bring by, check it out. I'm a weekend show over there, so things are taking a little bit longer than I wanted, but chipping away at it. I'm hoping by the end of the summer I'll start moving stuff in. I just got to get the power hooked up and get internet there and the garage doors on. We should be good.
One nail at a time.
That's right.
So Martin is interested in seeing a demonstration of swapping out the wild edge ropes. Martin, that sounds like a really good YouTube video for us to post.
Yeah, we could do that.
And how much distance between each step do you get?
Well, it all depends on you. I'm a monkey in a tree, so I can space them super far apart, 3-4 feet, no problem. But, you know, I always say make it comfortable. You know, there's no reason in stretching them super far apart, but you figure a comfortable step is, you know, 2.5 feet apart. So figure from your foot to your knee is a comfortable step. So if you want to make a perfectly comfortable climb, put your foot on a step. Your next step should be at your knee. It's super comfortable.
Awesome. And so Ryan sometimes struggles with setting the step on bark that is softer or hard. So best practice.
Yeah, so hard bark like a beech tree, it's super easy, but you're just going to have to cam it hard. So pull those babies up, pull the standoffs up and cam it over. You know, I always put the step up, you know, at my head, you know, from my chest, my head, or above, and you pull that step up so you can kind of just drop down into it and cam it over hard, because the beech doesn't, you're going to go right through the bark, and then you're just hitting the camera layer of the tree. So you got to get it in there. A thick bark tree, you want to pull it up, cam it over, and you might have to just uncam it, tighten it a little bit more, because you're compressing the bark on a pine, and you're also taking the standoffs farther into the tree. So you're going to want to cam it over again.
All right. Let me just check the chat. Got a couple links in the chat to the cane method. You guys are on it with the YouTube links. Much appreciated to anyone watching and following up with links. Looks like Ryan says he joined the saddle hunting community just last year and by far has had the most successful year in his 25 years of hunting. That's awesome, buddy. Congrats. Looks like Scott stepped out for a second. There he is. He's back. So, Drew, you want to make a transition? Scott, you ready? There he is. Let's bring him on.
All right, guys. I got this is Scott. He's owner of Broadside Camo. I met him a couple of years ago at Harrisburg. He had a booth on the other side of the archery hall, and we became friends, connected. Second you see his camo, it makes you think, and then the second you actually see pictures of it and how it works and everything, it just totally makes sense. And then Scott actually gave me a set of camo. We traded some product, and you see it makes sense. And then Lydia and I actually did a photo shoot for Scott. He asked me to take some pictures, so we went out in the woods, and it was late summer, and I had his early season suit on. And once we went back and looked at the pictures, I was like, holy shit. Like, you can see it all over my social media, and Scott, it just all of a sudden makes sense. So it's breaking up your image as you're looking up. So most camos designed to be on the ground, or, it's bark or whatever. The whole point of Scott's camo is as you're looking up. So it's breaking up your silhouette. So that's the most time a deer's looking at you, is your silhouette. Something ain't right. You're just sticking out of the tree, and if you don't have a good backdrop. So anyway, Scott can explain that, but super good dude. Love working with him. Good friend of mine. So here he is.
What a blessing. Thanks, man. I sure do appreciate that. That was a very nice introduction. Thank you. Appreciate that, man. Yeah, so I'm the guy that's actually dealing with the most challenging aspect of all this. Only because it's what you believe, and it's what you know, and quite honestly, what you feel most confident in. And that's camouflage. So it's probably one of the hottest topics that you can get it into a debate on. You might as well put a bow and a broadhead right in that conversation of what camo works best. Well, I don't really like to think of it as what's best or what's better. It's, for me, what gives me confidence, one. Two, what gives me better quality encounters. Three, what gives me the most grace to make a mistake and still be successful. And four, it's after that, it really becomes into design, the company, who you're working with, those kind of concepts. You can't see me. Brandon Smith says you guys can't see me. Is that right? Yeah, it's still on Drew. Hey, there you go. Howdy, everybody. Now we got it. Thank you, Lydia, for that transition. Appreciate that. Well done by you, by the way, as far as moderating all this. So again, I'm Scott Shearer, Broadside Camo. Now that you actually get to see the face with the company. Most of you, depending on how many are on, probably don't know a lot about my company. You may have seen some pictures. You may have seen some videos. Some of you may have sat through my hour-and-a-half long discussions hanging from a tree, but I'm a little verbose, and I like to talk, and I love to talk about what I do and why I think it just makes so much sense. But I want to step back from not my brand, but more of just camouflage in general, and really what some of the concepts are. It's a little bit more scientific than what people think, and as a bio degree, I really enjoy the science behind it. So there's four main concepts of camouflage, and that's color and contrast, edge distortion, creating the depth, and then really trying to mimic the background. So we all know that, we get the concepts of camo, but really getting into the details. So the reason why a ghillie suit works so well in so many settings is because it doesn't have this hard line silhouette. That's your edge distortion. Well, as it applies to saddle hunting, once you're in that open, and as you lose leaves, so let's talk about the greater swath of the Midwest from November onward, once you have that first cold snap and you start to lose those leaves, you have that more and more skylight trend comes through. And if you can, you can't see Jess probably, but as you get into that upward skyline look, this type of silhouette becomes more and more obvious and more stand out. And I had this epiphany on my first ever buck opportunity as a bow hunter some 8 years ago now. I was sitting hunting in Central Texas, and I probably was sitting on a 3-foot diameter oak tree, plenty wide to cover my span. Well, he was on my right side, and as I had to turn to make that shot, he saw me and he was gone. And I'm in traditional camo, and I say traditional meaning the 2 big brands that most people quickly think of. And I didn't understand, like, I don't know any different. I'm in camo. How can he see me? And I made the smart move to go down to where he was and look back to see what he saw. And all I saw was beautiful blue sky with white clouds and just a little bit of tree line. I got silhouetted. We've all known it. We all know what we're dealing with. And I had in that moment an understanding that I needed my gear to look like more of a tree line or skyline pattern. Skyline, ironically enough, sticks and limbs. There have been companies that have tried this, but it's been a little bit different. So the process I've done is a little bit different, and it's incorporating multiple of these camouflage components. So I want to talk about contrast. So what you'll see here to here, that's a really big difference in contrast, right? You've got a really large white pattern and then a really big dark pattern. Companies like ASAT and Predator are well known for that. That's the concept that they're using, is this really big contrast. ASAT's probably one of my most favorite. It's one of the most out there in my mind from a pattern, just those big zebra stripes. But again, think of a zebra. What that does to that silhouette drastically changes it amongst other things. That's what camouflage is all about. It's choosing or distorting the image from either the prey perspective or the hunter perspective as what's actually there and how to make sense of it and how to really dial in on that one object. Many of you hunters probably know when you have that buck or that doe walking through a little bit of brush and a little bit of wood, and you're looking through your sight and you're trying to pick out that body line. When you just see that brown passing through, it gets really difficult. Well, that's because that deer has its natural camouflage, their brown tone, and matching the designs. That's what we're trying to play with. We talked about gilly and the edge distortion. You'll see, you see it most of the time in the ocean, but you'll see like seahorses, and you'll see other animals that have these really big elongated portions of their body that help distortion to the surroundings. Again, changing the contour of the shape. Again, that's what it's all about playing with. So we don't have this really hard, definitive, and I'll be right there with you. I'm the first to agree that Fred Bear was absolutely right. And I've probably hunters in here on the seminar, I've done the same thing. I hear it all the time: blue jeans, t-shirt, or plaid shirt. I can do it all day long, right? Well, yes, you can. And if you can get in there without being seen from a mistake perspective, all for it, kudos to you. But what happens if in that moment you click your bow on something, you shift your seat, you shift your weight, and then all of a sudden that buck or that doe, that target, looks up at you? Are they going to hang around, or are they out the door? And what I'm hoping to do is to give you just 3 to 5 seconds to put the pin on the target and send it. To me, that's worth every penny, and it's worth every option and doing your due diligence on what you're wearing and putting on your body. To me, that's what it's all about. But I'll also say plaid is if you really look at it in its truth, plaid's a really good edge distortion because it has contrast, most likely. It's got your lights, it's got your darks, and it's got your midtones. That's contrast right there. Your blue jeans, if you really think about it, blue jeans on a blue lit sky actually makes a lot of sense. The studies that have come out of Texas A&M, alumni, University of Mississippi, University of Georgia, are all starting to show that deer are not black-white colorblind, but what's called dichromatically colorblind. So they have issues with red and green, but they can see a spectrum of color. And more importantly, they can actually see into the blue spectrum. So if you really think about it, in that moment, if you look up, they understand what a white cloud looks like. They understand what a blue sky looks like. And if there's a gentleman standing there in blue jeans and a denim shirt, his body line is going to be distorted. His bottom looks different from his top. His silhouette's going to be difficult to see. It actually makes sense. Now, I'm not saying everybody go out to Walmart, because why would we be here to do that? However, it can be done. It makes total sense. But more importantly, again, it's about the mistake, or for me, the mistake or the situation. I don't want an moment to cause me my opportunity. More importantly, I really believe in getting lower and more intimate with your target. So again, from Central Texas, where I first started this company, I couldn't get higher than about 7 or 8 feet off the ground before oak trees started going sideways. And so I got used to hunting at 8 foot off the ground, where my butt or my face is between 8 and 10 feet. So I'm getting almost eye to eye. In a lot of cases, it really offers that beautiful heart or double long heart shot. Really, really simple at that low parallel angle. As you start to get higher, which totally makes sense from a wind perspective, from being on top of the target. Well, now you're changing your angle. And I don't like that single long heart. I don't like that downward trajectory is strong. I like to be level, and doing something like this helps me do that better. So what you're traditionally used to, and I'm going to kind of do a little comparison of where I came from in making my stuff. Again, this upward look is what was the birthplace of Broadside Camo. Having said that, there's absolutely a need for being parallel or across the ground that has nothing to do with tree stand or saddle hunting. And so what I have in front of me is my reversible gear, only on the market to have that. And it has both a ground pattern, which is more traditional of it's called the Omega. It's more traditional, closer to your Mossio. It probably looks more like Realtree AP, like the most quintessential camo out there. And then it's got this closer on design. So with that, I'll just do a comparison. Now, it can be effective. Again, you can take almost anything and be effective. But what you'll see, so this is it, give you a little glimpse of it. So think of a turkey, a hardwood, late fall snap. That's what this is about. But even in this, you can really see the stark difference between this group, if this is my horizon or my tree line, and then what my chest or my body or my flank is offering in a shot. This looks very different. This looks very patchy, obviously face concealed. Now take this concept, turn it inside out, and now you're going to get this look. You can already start to see the change. Now, obviously, it's the same design, so it's going to make sense. But now the contrast and the silhouette changes. Look how my shoulder disappears here. See how it just starts to fade away? That's that silhouette. You can just look at my shoulders. You see where the black shirt is. You can see those lines so vividly, and yet this one fades away. That's the stuff that Jeff was talking about, and I've heard this over and over from guys that have done video and pictures for me. I think Lydia experienced this. Correct me if I'm wrong, Drew's up in a tree, Lydia's trying to take a picture of him, and she can't find him in the viewfinder, even though she knows where he is, because what she's looking in a camera and versus her naked eye is different, and her mind has to try to find him. That's the moment we're trying to look for. That's that 3 to 5 seconds for you to put the pin on the target and send it. That's what it's all about. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this back on just to continue that. So another concept is eliminating shadow. So there you go. You just see how that just melts away and that fades. I kind of look like the news anchors on the green screen with my head just floats. But when you can eliminate the shadow or create it appropriately, now you become more of a two-dimensional, and it changes the depth of your garment. That's what helps eliminate those silhouettes. See this transition? That's what we're looking for. So in that uh-oh moment, or in just you're ready to go, and some people say deer look up all the time. In Michigan, public land hunters, people say deer look up all the time. Well, if that's the case and they're walking through and they're looking up because they know where that stand is, putting yourself in this type of match, a more natural match than what you saw previous, is going to help. That's what it may give you from a 30-yard shot down to a 20-yard shot. If you can close by 10 yards, your effectiveness should be drastically going up. I think we could all agree to that. That's what we're really looking to do. So far, I want to stop and pause there. Any questions so far? Anything that's come up right now? I don't want to go on a 30-minute tirade and then come back to you.
All right, let's see. So is there any real science in the hex? That's the electro camo, right? Or do you not want to say, haha?
No, I personally don't know. For me, and I'll take this one step further and open up the scent concept. How do you genuinely prove it? We can't get in the mindset, and this is where I come from. If you believe in it, I know people have great experiences. Ultimately, that's what it all comes down to. What were the first thing I said? If you feel confident, and if you can have good experience, and you can get some grace and forgiveness in your mistakes, that's what it's about. If you're hex, if you go by the hex and you feel more confident, it's probably worth $1 to you. Can you prove that that animal doesn't sense you? I don't think you can, because we don't understand the mindset of what's going on through the process of the brain of that animal. So that's my answer to that. I feel the same way about scents, scent control. I do a basic wash, but I don't do anything crazy. You really have to play the wind most of the time. More than likely, they're going to bust you. So short answer, long answer. Personally, if you feel confident in it, go for it. Anything else?
Do you retrofit other camo with your saddle hunting modification? The zips up the side.
The zips up the side. I'm not familiar with that.
I'm not sure.
Expand on that one if you can. So for me, I'm connected with Arrow Hunter. So Arrow Hunter and the Kestrel Flex comes in 3 patterns. One is the Predator, or sorry, not, yeah, Predator, Fall Gray. I can't remember the third. And then it's the Broadside Closer pattern. So with that, I have my saddle is the Kestrel Flex and the Closer version. They also, being that I know them, Casey Jones, great guy over there at Arrow Hunter, and his creative mindset as he is, decided to get some gear, and he made a couple drop pouches for me, dump bags for me. So I have on my left side a Broadside camo dump pouch. But I do have fabric if somebody wanted to do something like that and create your own. Sure, you can send me a message and we can do something like that for you. So, but I don't really have to quote unquote retrofit or change anything, no.
All right, Brandon says 2 things. Love the pattern and the concept, will be buying. Any chance for made in the USA? And second, can you team with IWOM so they can use your pattern?
I won't. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate the business and stay tuned for the discount there. Number 2, I was in discussions with the made in USA manufacturer out in, I think it's called Patterson Textile, Patterson Prints. A good guy named Eddie Margarucci there. He did some design stuff for us before, or did some work for us before, but right as we were going through the prototyping of my new saddle hunter gear, saddle appropriate gear, COVID happened. And his business was in process of adding on face masks. And obviously with face masks and COVID, made in USA, he's getting orders of 50 and 100,000 at a time. He's got 25 manufacturers or 25 sewers and doesn't have time for my brand. So hopefully 2021, Eddie will get the business and we'll be able to do it. But for the rest of this year, it'll still be made in Pakistan as it is currently. Love the question. I want it. It's sadly, it's a price point. That's another thing that I, as a company man, I believe I don't want to charge $700, $800, $900 for gear. Currently my prices are, you can get a whole set for $500. That's head to toe, 2 seasons, everything you need for $500. I don't want you to have to pay $800 or $900 to be able to make a business out of USA. For me, that's my personal belief. Anything else?
Will we see Broadside camo hats?
So again, this lands back on Eddie Margarucci's lap. I do have another guy, David, that we can work with. He can roll out material. The hard part is, so this is a really good example. So here's what's called a roll-to-roll fabric. I don't do anything roll-to-roll. So if I'll stand up here, forgive the just chest shot. So this shirt is designed and made specific. So most people are right-handed. So as I post with my left arm, I'm giving them a hard contrast and open space. And as I post up, you see the transition from my elbow into the light, into the dark, into the light, into the dark. That's what they're seeing. So if every single shirt of mine has that orientation, every pair of pants has that orientation, and that's done specifically. So I do a process called sublimation from a picture. So this picture, or what you see behind me, is just repeated design. It's top, bottom, left, and right. You can't manipulate that the way that you can a computer graphically or generated design, i.e. everybody else on the market, which makes it tough for me to be able to do something like the hat. Because if you take a section like this on a hat and turn that into a hat, the next one's going to look like this. And then the next one's going to look like this. So it gets really difficult to take something that's roll to roll, which is how you have to produce it, and then make it uniform, which is what I want. So my face covers, your face is cut in half. And then I just invert, or I do a beanie the same way. And so then I go more tree ninja style. So I'm not a big hat guy. I've got standard truckers, Richardson's, blacks and grays and things like that. The camo hat perspective is more difficult. When we've done expos, people sit there and sift through them and they go, oh, I want one to look like this. And so they'll go all through all of them to find that. And that makes it difficult. Second to that, I'm a smaller guy and they don't move as well as a shirt or a pair of pants does. Good question. I like it.
All right, Chris wants to know, does your camo come in lightweight clothing and insulated or bib type clothing?
Yes. And so I don't want to do more, I guess I need to do more advertising. So the camo concepts of camo, contrast, color, depth, edge definition, we've got those things. Let me introduce it, how I've related that to more specific, you, the saddle hunter. I am the first and only full line that's designed for saddle hunting. So what I mean by that is there's another company out there that's created a garment for saddle hunting, a singular garment. I've done a full comprehensive line. What does that mean? This is what I'll show you. So whether you're a rookie or you're experienced, you're going to know that once you get up into that stand, or sorry, you get into your tether, into your position, and you tether in and you sit back, as that bridge gets tight, you're going to have issues. So here's another design that I have. That bridge is going to cause issues, and it's going to cause bunching. And this is what I did. So again, I'm not going to try to show you my crotch, but it may be part of it. So this is the big thing. This is the big difference. This is the game changer right here. So I have a saddle on. In a traditional style, as you pull up, you get this motion. You get this hollow patch that creates air and draft, and the back typically tends to rise. So you get a draft up the back, and you get this bunch, and you have nowhere for your hands because you're trying to find this pocket. So what I've done is I've allowed your bridge to now come through the jacket. So this is a hoodie. So a traditional hoodie where you would have your pockets, you lose that because I'm taking that here. So I now have a chest pocket here. I also have pockets to the back. This actually fits the perch right here, or you can use for rope. So that's that. So this is a lightweight hoodie, and the lightweight hoodie is going to come in this closer design simply because it's more seasonally appropriate. If you think about it, if you're wearing a hoodie in the stand for your concealment, it's probably not colder than 40, you know, upper to mid 40s. If you're going to go in something more than that, it's going to be this, which is going to be a post-fall. That's the Ascender jacket. So it's a full-on jacket that's got. To answer your question about bibs, here in my feet, I do have bibs that allow that same, and they relate with the hoodie or they relate with the jacket so that you can pass your bridge through you can put your saddle on, onto your person, onto your body, put your bibs over it, and pass your bridge through both your bibs and your jacket. So good question. I've got both lightweight and more heavyweight. Keep them coming. Love it.
So Brandon says, how about retrofitting IWAMs?
Oh yeah, that's right. Thank you for bringing me back to that. The IWAM, so that's one of those things that's all about a relationship. So IWAM has a boss, they've got CEOs, they've got an owner. Ironically enough, my first Harrisburg show, my booth was was across the aisle, left to right from IWAM. And in their designs and in their patterns, they had a big elevated tree stand demo, and I had a backlight behind them. So as people would come into my booth, I had this really nice display of being able to point to that and go, see how that doesn't work from a light transfer and contrast perspective. It's a matter of reaching out to them or vice versa and getting them to say, yes, okay, we will, royalties, etc., things like that. It's not something that I have a privy to. I can't buy an IWAM and turn it into my design. They have to take my garment. But again, with me and what I do, I want my camo pattern to look the same for everybody. IWAM probably doesn't want to work that way, but worth the discussion.
All right. Dave says, don't you have the slits in the side of your hunting jacket to accommodate the bridge? I think you just talked about that, and that's the modification he was referring to earlier. So thanks for clearing that up, Dave. John says, thought the process for that hoodie is stupid intuitive. I just cut holes and shit. Wife does not find it humorous as I run a blade through the new jacket. Yeah. So I think Scott kind of solves that problem.
Yeah. So it's not just in this. It's not just on the bridge. So I think Drew alluded to it, as did Jeff. The stuff that we carry in and what thank you. We're more mobile. We're packing. We're going further. We have more need and demand. As such, I'll pull up the bibs and show you, and I'll start with the hoodie. So for me personally, I'm trying to get away from a pack. I'm trying to be, what can I carry on my person as I walk in more and more? So in this stitch, if you can see this kind of diagonal stitch right here and here, this fits my perch. So I called up Drew and said, hey, Drew, I want to stitch this in to fit your perch. Are you okay with that? He said, great. So in this garment, I've got space for 2 water bottles. So I'll put a water bottle here. I don't have my perch with me. It's actually hung up outside. I thought I was gonna do it outside. So water bottle one side, water bottle the other, and then the perch can fit right here. So as I ascend, all I have to do is reach to the small of my back and pull it out. Instead of having to get to a point, pull my backpack off, or tie it onto my loop or anything like that, it just naturally fits in there. I put pocket placements. In a bridge, we lose those hips. So I put in, like I said, the more of a duck style pocket so that now your hands rest here, more natural, comfortable position. In the bibs, I did stuff like this. So here's my, I forget the name of this guy. Yeah, Wicked Tree Gear. So I've got a 10-inch pocket. This is the leg of my, it just naturally fits. So that stays there. That stays there all the time. I've got an inguinal pocket so that when you're in that leaning position, you can use the cargo on your outside as well as the inside. I've got D-loops this is attached just at the waistline to do stuff like this, or your nader swader can attach there. That's why I say it's the first set that's really designed for saddle or mobile hunting. Is we need more pockets, we need more cargo, we need more clips and attachments than just standard. Go buy something at Shields, or go buy something at Lancaster, or go buy something at Bass Pro. Those aren't designed for us as mobile hunters. That's mass market production. We want to push it to everybody and we'll sell as much as we can. I'm more of the smaller niche guy, really trying to make something different for you, the saddle hunter. So hope that answered.
Awesome. So Lee Guffey wants to know, do those garments allow for the linesman belt to be passed through as well, or just the bridge?
Yes. So if you recall, I don't have it on. I can put it back on if you'd like. So that's that. So that's your loop. So if you want to run your lineman's belt from here or from here, you can do so. So both will work. Obviously in a lighter, if you're in a, so let's say more of this pattern, so you're wearing the pants and the hoodie, you've got more room. You've got less fabric to get in the way. If you're getting into the bigger sets, whether the bibs or the jacket, you're going to have more fabric, but still enough room to be, you can be able to complete that. That allows that jacket or the hoodie to sit flat, keeps your front flat so you don't get the gap, and still allows you the motion that you want in the bridge. So one of the reasons why we got into saddle in the first place. So hope that helps.
Great. Will that pocket for the perch fit with the new wings?
Probably not. Will it, Drew? Yes. There you go. Thank you, Drew. Appreciate you on that one.
Awesome. We have, what about bags, backpacks, etc. in your camo pattern?
So Drew and I have been talking about carry pouches, dump pouches. That's something that will probably come from Wild Edge. We'll be getting together on that one. If you guys are carrying steps, we might be doing some step bags. Dump pouches, we can start. If you guys are interested, I can go that direction with Arrow Hunter or another source if I have to. You said backpacks. Backpacks, I personally am not going to touch, simply because getting a really good quality backpack is a whole other world. It's another guy. It's more than, quite frankly, I want to get into. I really prefer to stay with the apparel and let the bigger accessories be somebody else. Kind of like the saddle. If I could license it out, that'd be great. So for you, if you've got a pack in mind, send a message to that pack company and tell them to look into Broadside Camo. That'd be great. Thank you.
Awesome. Mike wants to know, any chance of the hoodie coming out as reversible?
No, sadly. I wish I could. It just doesn't work out that way, simply because of the designs. I mean, you theoretically could do it. You're just going to have exposed seams and different material on the inside. The more you start making it outside of the shirt that I'm wearing, outside of that, once you get into the other heavier garments of hoodies, you start to get into liners, you start to get into different material. It gets kind of salty. It's not very good. So not the quality that I want to put out.
Awesome.
Good questions. Keep them coming. Thank you.
Daniel wants to know, can you show us the bibs with the saddle incorporated?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask that. I'm glad you did. Let's ask another question while I get dressed.
All right. What material is the reversible shirt made of? Is it polyester?
Yes. So anything that's sublimated, you can own. Well, you don't own. It has to be, the bulk has to be polyester. So in this one is a poly spandex. So look at the amount of sleeve stretch. So you see that it's got a 5% spandex in it, but yes, it is polyester. So it doesn't shrink. It doesn't fade. It doesn't take on odor, to go back to that topic a little bit. From sweating out to smoky bars to mold and mildew, just do a simple wash and it'll be done. It'll be good. Bear with me, guys. All right, so now I'm in my saddle, or in my bibs. This would be a more traditional, right? So this is the difference again. Take the bridge, pull it out. Now you got it. So you take the snap back down. This is where and snapping it back down is all about your draft and wind protection. So I've got a double there. So now there's my original Arrow Hunter bridge and my mod Amsteel bridge. So if you guys ever talk about dual safety, that's another way to do that, dual lines. So there's my lineman's belt loop here, and then here's my bridge loops here and here. Good? Does that answer the question?
Looks good. John says that's insane. Take my money now.
Okay. Stay tuned. You'll see it.
Steven says any rain gear.
Yes. So the bibs that I'm wearing, the hoodie that I showed you, the Ascender jacket and the Ascender pants are all a soft shell waterproof. So Drew attested to that. I don't know if you heard that in his first section. So all the saddle, or as I call it, the Ascender, again, ascending, all the Ascender series is a soft shell waterproof base. So no problems there.
Awesome. Let's see. If you did dump pouches, would they be reversible?
I like that idea. I like that idea a lot. My only, as I quickly think about it, my only apprehension to that would be the material that I would use to make it reversible would either have to be more soft and pliable like my shirt, which, as you know, as a dump pouch needs to have some form and structure to it. If I use the thicker material, now we start to get into the issues of sound and noise as it moves and scrapes. So worth looking into. I'd probably punt that one to Arrow to see what they do. Casey's been working on something called Cowboy Suede, which is a quieter, firm material, but love the idea of it. And it's doable from a conceptual concept or process.
Awesome. See, guys, that's the advantage of coming out to these things. It's your input that really is game changing in this small community. Michael wants to know, how do you attach your steps to yourself when you climb? I usually attach them to my saddle. So I think he's referring to because you put your bibs over your saddle.
So from a bibs concept, so again, the D-loop. So that's going to be exposed. So I won't go up with my jacket. My jacket is the only thing that I'm running the last 2 weeks of the year. I ran with a, not a full pack, but I'm trying to forget the name. Airsoft harness. So it's basically just an H frame on my back that's got a bunch of MOLLE clips. And I've got, I run Hawk Heliums full length, and I do a little 550 paracord braid inside that frame, and then I just run that to a clip, simple. And that can be done whether it's outside to something like this. So there you go. That's one of them. So that's my actual saddle. This is what those live on. So if I was in my bibs, I can run that there and then clip it up. These are simple. This is a little D-loop. I got this off, like 10 of these off Amazon for like $12. So I put that paracord there, and then I can go up with it. And I've got 2 on either side. Or I could use the D-loop a myriad of ways, really, to be honest.
Awesome. What are the bibs lined with, and what waist size is 2X?
Good questions. So it's lined, the bibs, both the bibs and the jacket are lined with what's called a polar fleece. So it's a thicker fleece that you would find. So it's that soft shell waterproof on the outside, and then your liner on the inside. Most people ask what the temperature rating is, so I'm going to go a little further in your question. With 2 light base layers, a vest, and a hoodie and a cinder jacket, I was in 5 degrees for about 6 hours. So based off of your cold preferences, line appropriately, layer appropriately, you should be fine, pretty much to any degree. Justin Leckie over in Wisconsin, Madman, was hunting, I think, in -20 this season, -10, something silly like that. A couple years ago, he was in -50. Justin, if you're watching, you're a madman and crazy, but I love you. Size 2X. So all of my pants, see, This isn't. Yep, Bibs doesn't. I don't have a pair of my pants with me. So from the hips towards the back or across the back is elastic. The front is flat, so it sits comfortably. The back is elastic, and it's got anywhere from 4 to 5 inches of give. So to be specific to your 2X question, a 2X is going to start at a 36-inch waist, and it's going to open up to a 41. There you go. Drew's showing you right there, if you can see that. It opens up to a 41-inch waist with 5 inches of give. So a medium is going to be a 30 and go to a 34, 35. A large is a 33 and goes up to about a 38. So as we beard deer season and grow a little bit, or as we layer, all the garments are built in with room to facilitate that. So that's to say, if you're a 36-inch waist, you could go either way, stick with what your true size is most of the time and just wear a belt if needed. That's going to be better than go smaller and try to work up.
Mike Nuno says dump pouches need to be waterproof as well.
Agreed. Mine is denier, the same that the hunters do. I totally agree with that. But that again goes into that difficult. As you start to come into these demands, waterproof, quiet, reversible, it starts to becoming more complex, and complexity leads to cost. And do you want to pay $75 for a reversible waterproof dump pouch? If so, maybe I do it.
Supply and demand. All right, let's see. Mike says, do your bibs have molly loops on the bibs or just the D loops?
No, I went into the molly loop concept from the prototype perspective, the set that Drew worked and 8 other guys wore last year, and nobody found that they were using them. Most of the time, your saddle or your pack or the other demands facilitate what you need. So no, I haven't taken the time to put molly into them.
Is the Closer Series hoodie available online?
Yes, but it's in production. So I can't ship it to you yet. It should be here the first week of July. So we're about 3 weeks out from having it. So yes, you should be able to go buy it right now. And again, stay tuned for the deal that'll come, the coupon.
Awesome. Guys, if I missed your question, go ahead and post it again. I've been doing my best to keep up with them. Couple minutes here. Sky, if you want to say anything else or
Yeah, camo again. If it's not my brand, that's fine. If you're a saddle hunter and what's working for you is great, love that. If you're being successful, I love that too. Do I think there's merit in what we're doing? Absolutely. Again, forgiveness and the quality of encounters is different for me, and my confidence level is up. So for me, I get 3 check marks on all of those. This is just me, much like Matt, much like Drew, much like Jeff. I'm the guy that's running everything. So it's from the social media posts, which often are pretty this mug, to answering your emails, to fulfillment, to design. It's all really comes from me. It all sits in my garage about 30 feet away from me. With that, this is the guy you deal with. So if you ever have a question, if you ever have an issue, I'm really personal. I like to take a phone call. I like to take a text message. I want to be able to help you out personally. Again, I'm the guy that's least known out of everybody you've seen today. Everybody knows Out on a Limb now. Now that he went saddle, Matt is, brainchild here. Everybody knows Drew. I'm the guy that most of you don't know. And I want to be able to, I'd love the chance to be able to prove why what I'm doing both makes sense conceptually as well as a customer service perspective. So for all you military out there and law enforcement, I do take care of you. Message me on that and I'll help you out there as well. And hats off to you. Appreciate that. That goes to Drew as well, being former military. Outside of that, I think that's it. Again, the company name is Broadside Camo. So if you think of the shot angle you want, Broadside makes sense. You look camo, you'll find that answer really easy as you Google it. Real simple, broadsidecamo.com, social media wise. The biggest thing that I need, if you believe in any of this and you want to be a part of this, is for you to tell your hunting buddies. I don't have a marketing budget. It is client to client and customer to customer growth. That's the way that I personally want it. Personally, and I think that's the way that's best, is to go one believer at a time, whether it's Matt, Drew, Jeff, or Justin, or any of the other people that have used it. It's one person at a time will make a difference and make Broadside Camo sustainable. So thanks for your time. Thanks for your attention. Really thank you for getting on board with Summit, or this Summit, excuse me. And I think we should all give a huge hand to Lydia for putting all this together and to managing all this. So kudos and credit.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Have I been to Birmingham? I see that last one come through. Have I been to Birmingham Deer Expo? Yes, 3 out of the last 5 years. I was planning to go this year, but due to COVID, I know I will not. But get with me, send me a direct message if you'd like, if you've got questions. From a customer perspective, so this is another one. I'm glad you brought that up. You kind of led me to something. Camo is the only thing out of everything that we've seen and shown that's all about fit, comfort, noise, quiet, all that kind of stuff. And I can get why you'd be reluctant in ordering $300 or $400 worth of camo when you've never touched it and you've never put your eyes on it. With that, I'm very, very forgiving with a return policy. As such, I've only had 2 returns in 6 years due to quality. 2. And so even with like the soft shell, you take it out of the packaging and it feels stiff and it's loud. Wash it just like you normally would. Wash it twice and then evaluate it. I don't want you to just pull it out of the bag and go, oh, this is loud, it sucks, I'm sending it back. And then you go some negative comment on Facebook Warrior because of how bad Broadside sucks. No, put it through the ringers. Go climb a tree. Turn your camera around. I don't care. I know people are going to be happy in it ultimately, but wash it, treat it, do the things you want to do your evaluation, and then if you don't like it, message me. Statistics say we're going to be all right. But if you got a question, again, I'm happy to take care of it. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that, Stephen.
One last question from Chris as we wrap up here. Can you support custom orders for something? He'd like a cover for a pack. Could it be reversible with 2 patterns you've shown?
No, I wish I could. And I actually started out, when I first started off, I wanted to be called Custom Camo to do that very thing. You know, you take a picture, I produce it. It's a ball full of nastiness. Just gets a tangled mess, and it's not pretty. So sadly, no, I can't do that. The best thing I would be able to do, if at all, would be to print material and let you go find your maker of your own. I did see a question. Oh, sale code. That's going to come up here in a second, John.
Awesome. So looks like that does it in the Q&A box. Any other questions? Let us know. Other than that, Scott, you want to wrap it up with your
yes. So Summit, SUMMIT, is going to be the code. I'll have that done momentarily. SUMMIT is the code for 10% off. To put it in perspective, you can get the entire Cinder series for about $520 before the code. So that's your basically from January through December 31st for $700. That's everything. That's the lightweight reversible. That's the midweight a Cinder stuff and the heavyweight. So for the cost of a jacket and half a pants, or a jacket and a vest of some of the big wigs, you'll have your whole year taken care of.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing. Much appreciated, Scott. Thank you for being here.
Thanks
I've got one question from Joe. And Jeff, if you want to field this one, I'm going to have you on mute real quick.
Yep.
All right. So he says, how does someone adopt the older trophy line ambush saddle to using ropes and ascenders instead of having to tie straps, etc., and suggestions in converting or improving the bridge from strap to rope? Thanks.
One more time. That was a long one.
So adopting the older trophy line ambush saddle to using ropes and ascenders instead of tying straps.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. My old ones, I never used the tether, the webbing tether. I always used the rope tether, and I made my own rope tether, and I made my own rope lineman's belt. The really old ones had an integrated lineman belt. I actually cut it off my leather ones. I didn't like it. And I just used ropes with the lineman's belt, loops. As far as the bridge, that's a bridge question too, right? I've never had an issue. I know some people do remove the bridge and then go lineman belt to lineman loop, lineman loop to lineman loop with their own custom rope bridge. I've never had to do it though. I find them very comfortable for me. I do feel a lot of questions about comfort, and for some reason I just throw them on and they're perfect for me. So I just tell people to adjust the tether height if they're uncomfortable, and the big thing is you don't want the lineman loops on your hip bones when you're set up. That'll cause some discomfort. But yeah, so I'd say if you want to cut the bridge off, have at it, and then just tie something from lineman loop to lineman loop. Give it a shot.
Disclaimer is warranty.
Yeah, your warranty's shot. Yeah, absolutely. He said the old one, I think. So yeah, I mean, they're already expired, all that kind of stuff, you know. But and I would probably do that before I cut it out and tried it with the rope bridge. And if you liked it, then cut it out, I guess. That's on you.
That's a good point, guys. When you're making modifications to your gear, please test them at ground height and try to test before you cut.
Yeah, and you know, the warranty, all that stuff is shot at that point too. So.
All right. So thank you, Jeff, for feeling that. Much appreciated. All right, everyone, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, like I said in the beginning, we've never done this before. It was the very first Saddle Hunter Summit. What we're trying to do here is to create a community, and not just create it because it's been going on for quite a while. You guys are a super passionate, super niche community, and we want to support it and we want to help it grow. And we love to see all the passion from the Saddle Hunters themselves. So thank you for coming and supporting this. I had a lot of fun fielding your Q&A, and I hope that I didn't miss any questions, but I'm sure there's more out there. So as always, you can send us emails, you can find us on Facebook. Like Scott said, we are the people behind the companies. You're seeing us here, you've been able to interact with us. When you message us on Facebook, it's myself or Andrew answering you. The same with Scott and Jeff and Jason, Matt, and just thank you guys for being here. We have some coupon codes. Remember, it's SS15, 15% off the entire Wild Edge site. That ends today. So you have today only. Go get your 15% off. You guys know we don't do that super often. Summit for 10% off your Broadside camo. Tune into Matt's live stream he's going to do tomorrow. Make sure you check that out. And I'm going to turn it over to Andrew as we finish up here for any last remarks.
Like Lydia said, thanks guys for coming on. Scott, Matt, Jeff, Jason, thank you guys so much. Thanks, Lyd, for getting this all set up. And like I said, these are some of my closest buddies in the industry that I work with. I love them to death. I do anything for them. And thank you guys for coming on. That was a pretty fun time. We'll be sure to do this a little more often. But like Lydia was saying, any questions you guys got, reach out to us. Like we all say, it's us answering the phones. It's us answering the emails. Any social media, it's us. And we appreciate the support and any comments, any suggestions you guys have. That's how we make shit happen, is all you guys. So appreciate all the help, and thanks for tuning in, and have a good rest of the Sunday. Appreciate y'all.